Hello, as discussed, welcome to my Halloween vlog, I guess. I am loving the month of October. I'm thriving. I'm having a great time. We have orange pumpkins everywhere. I have my ModCloth ghost sweater on. It has been chilly lately. The leaves have started turning beautiful shades of all my favorite colors: orange, yellow, red, despair. I mean, I love it. It's magical. So strap in, light a cozy candle, have a cozy drink. What's a cozy cocktail? Would that be like an Irish coffee? Would that be like a cozy cocktail? Let me know in the comments. What is a cozy cocktail? Before we get into anything, I want to show you guys my Halloween decorations. Over here, we have what I like to call lights and pumpkins, and they go all the way around. Oh my God. We have this pumpkin man, and let's take a closer look because there's a bit of a surprise here. So this is Pumpkin Man, and my roommate Ethan, who's a very talented clay artist, made a tiny version of Pumpkin Man. I mean, come on, y'all. We also have this card on my drink cart, which I love personally. We have this cup here. We have this candle holder. And if you have been a longtime fan, longtime follower, this is a bird hat that Emma got me from drinking from my shelf last year, and I put it on these crows. So yeah. We have these ghosts, everything. These tiny pumpkins, everything. We have this pillow that's upside down. We have this blanket that's in a clump. We have this ghost that is always here. And we have some pumpkin art that is always here. Also, this witch that my friend Ileana got me. And we have this little bat. So the first book that I want to talk about is one that was highly anticipated that I read earlier this month. Like we all remember the X-Hex, the darling of 2021 fall, Erin Sterling, aka Rachel Hawkins. I loved this book. I read it in an October reading vlog last year. So you know, I had to read The Kiss Curse. Look at these books together. They are just darling. They are darling, darling cute. Also the moon. The Kiss Curse is the sequel to the X-Hex. It follows our main character from the first book's cousin and the male main character from the first book's brother. And they fall in love. And of course, there's plot, there's hijinks, there's a bit of mystery solving, little Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Very Gilmore Girls-y, very cozy. It really is the best small town, witchy, supernatural, slow burn, yet not at all romance that I've read in a long time. Hyper specific, I know, but I read a lot of books in this genre, I feel like. This is set in Georgia, the state, not the country, and it totally captures what it is to be in a mountain town in the South. Like, it is perfect. The weather descriptions, the vibes, the people. It's also set in a college town where I'm from a southern college town. Like, it just does everything right, and you really can tell that Rachel Hawkins / Erin Sterling is from the South. She's from Alabama, and you can just feel it in the way that she writes. I just loved this book. It was really romantic. It was really sweet. I loved their chemistry. It is not really grumpy sunshine would be the trope. I wouldn't say it's that, but we definitely have like grumpy sassy, grumpy less grumpy kind of thing. Grumpy slacker? I don't know, something like that. I really loved it, and I would highly recommend. Very, very cozy, perfect for this season. We gotta talk about another book. I don't know what book, but we gotta talk about another book. I bought this today. I'm obsessed. Let's talk about another book. The Witches of Moonshine Manor. Oh my God. I hadn't really heard about this book until I did my yearly scouring of all of the autumnal reads that were coming out in the fall in October, and this was a delight. I listened to this on audiobook. Great audiobook. It follows a bunch of geriatric, like octogenarian witches. Think Grace and Frankie. They're sassy, they're funny, they're kind of crass. They're very in touch with themselves. They're all like connected and have been connected since childhood through this home called Moonshine Manor. They also have a distillery there where they make like gin, I think, and that's how they make their income. But there is a threat that is coming to kind of take away this house from these octogenarian witches. And that threat is the patriarchy. It is a bunch of men, literally like almost with angry pitchforks, trying to turn it into like a man amusement park. Like, it's so goofy and funny, but also like hyperbolic in a way where you're like, yeah, okay, I kind of see how this is realistic. Basically, they have to find a way to save their manor while also dealing with challenges from the past, dealing with things that they've never talked about, and having a new young like teenage witch sort of join their forces and be a part of their little world. It is a book about learning to change even in the later years of your life, about being honest, about feminism in a really tongue-in-cheek way that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's also very queer. I really enjoyed this book. It was so much fun. It was such a delight. It was very fast-paced, very entertaining, and also had this middle grade element into like the world building of the manor and the house. Like, I really felt like it, like the rooms that were described kind of felt like the rooms that are described in like Nevermore, which is my favorite middle grade series. I loved this book and I would highly recommend it. It is really great for this holiday fall time season. I was gonna film this clip outside. I literally started to, and then I got bit by something. And now my arm stings. Are we gonna have to have a little Benadryl moment? Anyway, before I have to deal with that, let's talk about another book that I read recently. That is Thistlefoot. This is a fantastic adult fantasy book. I listened to the audiobook. It was done by January Lavoie, who is a marvel. She's a fantastic narrator. Oh my God. This book is based around Jewish mythology and folklore. It is amazing. It is so interesting. It is about a brother and a sister who grew up in their family's traveling like puppeteer show, and they are now estranged. The older brother has been traveling around the country. His magical powers, because they both have kind of like magical powers, his are to be able to mimic basically anybody in the world. Sister, who is the stalwart one, the one who's really wanted a stable life, a normal life, her powers are the ability to give anything life, give inanimate objects life. It is really, really interesting. They end up coming together because they inherit, if you know anything about Jewish folklore, a house on chicken legs that's coming over from like Russia, Ukraine area. It gets brought over and she immediately falls in love with it. The brother's like, let's take this show on the road. Let's do a puppeteer show. In this world, which is a detail I love, like, it's normal for houses to adapt to the environment, meaning like they talk about in the book, like during Hurricane Katrina, houses like turned into boats or flew. And it's a really interesting idea of like these houses being real living beings and having evolutionary functions. I thought that was such an interesting world building detail. Anyway, so she's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this show. But he's like, you can keep the house if I can keep the money from the show. So that's what ends up happening while they start going on this tour around the country. This scary man starts to follow them, and he has been basically infecting people with this sort of disease that makes them do evil things and dark, horrible things, and they're trying to stop that. They're trying to figure out what happened with their past history and what's gone on in the past, like 100 years ago, when this house got its chicken legs. The house actually tells part of the story, which is really, really interesting and fun. I love this book. It was dark and sweet and also kind of romantic. It has a queer love story as part of the book. I enjoyed this book so much. I really, really enjoyed it. If you like Catherine M. Valente, I feel like you're gonna really like this book. It feels very much in line with that. It feels like the best kind of adult fantasy, which feels like a middle grade with adult characters and adult themes, if that makes sense. And it is also a book that you could read any time of the year, but I just think it also works really well as an autumnal read. So yeah. So the rest of this vlog, as the Benadryl that I took is coursing through me, is going to be me actually reading more Halloween reads. I wanted to tell you about what I'm currently reading. I'm currently reading The Hacienda on audiobook. It is really interesting so far, very gothic. It's set in like the 1800s in Mexico on a hacienda where there's like a ghost, presumably of the main character's husband's ex-wife. So think like Rebecca in that way. It's really interesting so far, definitely spooky, creepy, a little actually scary to the point where I didn't want to listen to it last night because it was too spooky. And I'm a baby. And I have read a paragraph of the very secret society of irregular witches. I need to just sit down and read this because I know I'm gonna love it. I know I'm gonna love it. So that is where we're at today. Also, is anyone obsessed with Dreamlight Valley? Disney Dreamlight Valley? I'm obsessed. I've been playing it so much. Greatest audiobook game since Animal Crossing. Meaning game to play while listening to audiobooks. Should I make a video where I talk about my favorite cozy games? I could do that. I have Benadryl head. My allergic reaction has gone away, so we love that. Anyway, I finished the Hacienda. It was really good. It was, like I said, very like Rebecca. I've never read Rebecca, but I assume. It was easy to follow. I liked the rhythm of it. It had this really lush, depressing romance that I really enjoyed and felt unsatisfied by in a way that made sense for the story. I just really enjoyed it. It was gothic and lush and dark and stormy. I also, love the fact that it really went, we will have a hot priest. You people like Fleabag, we will have a hot priest. So good for them. Good for that. So the Hacienda, very good. I am currently unable to really say much more about it because of Benadryl head, but I don't know what else I'm going to say about it besides what I said about it. I feel like I covered what I wanted to say about it. So what am I going to do now? I have a pretty big physical TBR for this month, and I might just decide to make one of them into an audiobook moment for myself. I just haven't decided which one it's going to be yet. But I do have a short story collection by Terry Pratchett that I got on Libro FM on sale. So I might do that one because it's very, it has witches on the cover. So that's a possibility. I would read this, but I am not sure if I'd be able to keep my eyes open. Whoa. Also, can we please appreciate my Dreamlight Valley autumnal fit? I did build this dress. It is orange and it has a frozen little tree on it. We got our magic hat and we got these boots. I'd wear this. Maybe not the hat, but like I would wear the hat on Halloween, This is so funny. So I've never read anything by Terry Pratchett, but like I'm a big fan of Good Omens, the TV show at least. And it's a delight. I knew it was going to be a delight. And this is like a collection of short stories, and like he's describing this wizard witch, and he talked about how he had a cat, and the narrator, or I guess the audiobook producer, put a meow sound. It was like, oh, baby, meow, da-da-da-da-da-da. I love that. That is fun. I think there were too many sound effects. Too many now. Too many, less delightful. It's 1 a.m. I can't sleep. I'm gonna make myself a hot chocolate because I feel like a warm bev, it might be the cure to my insomnia. I have this mug that Emma from Drinking on My Shelf bought me last Christmas. I don't even know what time is anymore. I think last Christmas. I'm gonna make a hot chocolate. I finished The Witch's Vacuum. It was cute. I think it is a fabulous, very sweet short story collection if you have children. It is made for children, so it makes sense. The audiobook was very quirky. It was very cute. It was very sweet. In my haze of Benadryl today, it was kind of the mood, It was good. I enjoyed it. I don't know like how Halloween-y it is. It's kind of Halloween-y in a Disney Channel way, which is a Halloween-y that I do really like and enjoy. So I digress. Am enjoying it. I am now trying to decide which one of my physical books that I want to maybe transfer into a audiobook. I have a credit for Libro FM. I'm thinking maybe got to do that. Maybe they know. What do you think I should do? Went off, as they say. As the kids say, I went off. Let's see. Delicious. I'm looking at my TBR right now. If only I could read books physically as quickly as I read them via audiobook, I would take over the world. But I scroll on TikTok and I watch reality TV shows. I'm addicted to playing Dreamlight Valley and doing crossword puzzles, and I like to listen to audiobooks when I do both those things, so yeah. Why couldn't the first Practical Magic book be as good as the other Practical Magic books / the movie? So I've thought long and hard, meaning I've thought a little bit. I think I'm going to get The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy on audiobook. I have the physical book. If I really love it, I'll reread it physically, which is something that I do sometimes when I love an audiobook or I love a book. So I think I'm going to pick that one up with my Libro FM October credit. It's just the biggest one on my TBR, like the most pages, so I'm at my boyfriend's house. He's on tour right now. I think I mentioned that. So it's just me in his house, and his roommate is not here. So I'm just partying at my boyfriend's house. Change of scenery. Woo! You guys want to see the beautiful autumnal view? I mean, like, for real? So pretty. Pumpkin. Yeah. So, I am currently reading A Ghost in Shining Armor, which is a book that I think just came out, I want to say. It is a supernatural romance. It was at my library via audiobook, and it's about a woman who just found out that she has a sister that she didn't know about. Like, she was adopted by her parents and her sister wasn't. And she's going through this hard time. And she also happens to be able to see ghosts. And she has since she was like a young teenager. And there's this guy, and he recently has passed away. And he is told that in order to reincarnate, he has to help her out. And he is a ghost. And it goes from like alternative universe. So there's like alternative universes. So far the world building is interesting. It's very Hallmarky. I don't mean that in a bad way. It just is kind of Hallmarky. The writing isn't like fantastic, but it is entertaining. So yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. So pretty. So I'm about to go to my parents' house. Yeah. Change of scenery. In terms of reading updates, I don't have any. I had a really fun day yesterday where I did no reading. I did a bunch of errands that were really fun. I got this guy at an antique mall. I know, I'm obsessed. There was so much like wild stuff. It was so much fun. I went to Barnes & Noble. I bought 2 more like Halloween-y books, even though I keep saying I don't need any more books on my TBR, but they're both like short. They're both kind of short. I can show you them. Yeah, so I do want to read today. I have a drive ahead of me to go to my parents. So yeah, I got In the Company of Witches, which is a short, cozy mystery novel with magic. I keep seeing it at my library, but it has like a bajillion like week wait, and I can't wait that long. And then I bought this book, which I'd never heard of, which is Witchful Thinking, which looks like a fun Halloween rom-com. So I was excited about that. So yeah, and I also bought this book, which isn't Halloween, but it is magic-y, sort of. And that's the sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers, Amari and the Great Game. So yeah, that's what we have here. I am about to leave, and I plan on trying to read more of all the books that I'm currently reading that y'all know about. So I'm at my parents' house, and I'm desperately trying to listen to the Heart and Mercy audiobook, but I just can't with this, like, woman narrator. I feel bad. It's just a personal preference. I really just don't like her voice. I think there's just something about it that feels really, like, dry to me. So I am going to probably just switch to the physical book at some point, I guess, because I really want to read this book, and I just can't do it. I think I'm gonna lose a star for this rating if I keep listening to the audiobook. I ended up not finishing this book. So, I think I'm gonna read it in November. Are you ready to talk about the last few books I read? I ended up giving up on the reading vlog idea, and I'm gonna tell you about the last few books. So, yeah. I finished The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This was completely and utterly adorable. I loved it. If you don't remember what it's about, I don't even remember if I told you what it was about. It's about a young woman living in England. She is a witch, but witches in the society are very separate from each other. They only meet up a few times a year. And she also is an influencer and makes like witchy content on YouTube. So she gets a weird summons via email of someone being like, we need a witch tutor. And she's like, what? She ends up going to this little house in the middle of nowhere where there are 3 young witches living and a bunch of interesting adults who take care of them, including our love interest. This is Grumpy Sunshine. This is very cozy. Has elements of like a middle grade novel with all of the, you know, warmth and swooniness of a romance book. I really, really enjoyed this. I feel like if you're a fan of middle grade, if you're a fan of cozy fantasy, this is going to be perfect for you. And by far, it's my favorite book I read for this video. I adored it. Another book I read, Small Town, Big Magic. This was a highly anticipated read for me because of the cover. This is like one of my favorite covers I've ever seen. I just think it's so pretty. This book is about a town in Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas area. And in this town, we have our main character who's very like on it, type A, giving Paris from Gilmore Girls kind of vibe. She has this group of friends she's been friends with from high school, and she has a rival in the town mayor. However, she finds out kind of randomly when she's trying to put together a festival that she is a witch, and all of her friends are witches, and they have a test in their witch world that determines how much magic she has, or anyone has, and she ended up failing it, and so her memories got erased. But actually, her memories are right there. They have to fight dark evil. It's obviously going to be a series. This book felt a lot like a young adult novel, but in an adult romance book. I wouldn't say this book is like purely a romance novel, but romance is a big part of it. But yeah, I definitely had a real young adult thing about it. The main character had this sort of like difficult personality that I feel like you find in young adult novels, but she ends up growing a lot as a person by the end of the book. The romance kind of fit into that, the will they, won't they kind of thing. The way she finds out she's a witch, the characters, the villains, all of it felt very like Beautiful Creatures-y, honestly, if anyone remembers that book. I enjoyed this book a lot. Definitely the young adult style of it I did not like because they were like people in their late 20s and early 30s, but I enjoyed the book. I liked the writing. I listened to it on audio. It had a great audiobook. I would recommend it. It was a lot of fun, and it's set in the spring, so you could read it anytime. So I'm at my parents' house right now, and I want to give you a little tour of their Halloween decorations as we are finishing up this season. We've got this gorgeous shelf, another gorgeous shelf full of all this really fun vintagey style Halloween stuff. Another one here. We've got the bat. I mean, the bat is just perfection. My mom made this tree, Halloween tree. Of course, a spider. Up here we have a little Halloween town that my dad made. I love these like fake flower things. They're so fun. This is probably the coolest room. My dad is probably going to be upset because I didn't film this at night. But I mean, this is just so awesome. It's like a witchy potion lab situation. It is amazing and beautiful. This is probably my favorite spot in the room. I love it. And then the front porch, I'll like put a clip of what this looks like at night because it's so pretty and very cool. So yeah, just the best Halloween stuff ever. Look at the leaves. They're so pretty. Talk about the last book. This book I also wouldn't consider a purely Halloween book. You could read it anytime, but that's Bindle Punk Bruja. This is a historical fiction magic book about a young woman, Flapper, living in the 1920s in the Kansas, Missouri area as well, in the Kansas City area. She passes as white. She's from a Mexican immigrant family, but she passes as white in order to just have a leg up in society. She is a reporter by day and a speakeasy jazz club owner at night, and this book is basically about a society who just will not let her do anything and all the horrors that she has to deal with and her family has to deal with. And there is a magic element as well, as her magic ability comes through charm and her sexuality. Thought that the characters were really well done and thought out. The way the book flowed was really exciting and interesting. It is very brutal and intense, but it's just done so very well. Again, another fantastic audiobook, one that really makes you feel like you're there, and the story, the descriptions are really good. It kind of read like a movie, and I mean that in a good way. It was atmospheric and at times quite terrifying, but not because of the magic, but because of what our main character and her family and friends have to deal with. I really, really, really enjoyed this book, and it was sort of a hidden gem. I hadn't heard anyone talk about it, but I saw it in a book list, so I picked it up, and I, again, would really recommend it. So, I read quite a few books for this video. I really enjoyed this. I'm trying to, like, take a really casual stance on making YouTube videos, because it's just not something I really run to anymore. I really am, like, a book talker more now than anything else, but I still enjoy making long-form content, and for, like, the few people who do still like enjoy my videos here, I appreciate it so much. I have some stuff planned coming up with Emma hopefully soon. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've read any books recently of the cozy fantasy, spooky genre that are similar to these. I'd love to have your recommendations. Okay, have a lovely day.